The Trump Laura Loomer scandal is rapidly developing, and I need to update you on it. We already talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene getting upset with Laura Loomer, and I'll remind you of who she is as we go through this. But now more of MAGA, Trump's own diehard fans, are getting upset with Trump because of his association with Laura Loomer. And then we'll talk about, after going through some of that, Trump's spokeswoman desperately trying to wiggle out of answering a question about Loomer. So before going any further, let me play some CNN reporting to remind you a little bit of who we're talking about. This person, Laura Loomer, has been flying with Trump on his plane, appearing at different events. Trump has made a bunch of positive remarks about Loomer. We looked at a compilation, a different segment, and here's this, then we'll go further.
That he has been hanging out with. She's been on plane with him. We've seen him talk about the fact that he says that she's this great woman. He has been hanging around a right-wing activist called Laura Loomer. And I want to show you just some of the things that she has put out on social media. And it goes back very far. Yep. But let's start with here's what she said about Sheila Jackson Lee. After Sheila Jackson Lee died, she called her a ghetto bitch. Mm-hmm. And then she speaks about black women this way. Again, she tweeted, this is another one, if Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry. So another racist attack. She's also tweeted about Kamala Harris, calling her a stupid, brain-dead, lying bitch. Mm-hmm. And then listen to this. She's talking about several women of color, several black women, Letitia James and others, including Kamala Harris. Here's what she said about them.
Now, y'all gonna elect me and I'm gonna lock him up. We're gonna get Trump. Like the way they talk and their little DEI Shaniqua voices, and it's just very piercing, very irritating sound. They all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, Letitia James, and Fannie Willis. Like all of the meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious.
Why is Donald Trump hanging around with this woman?
Because he's lost the plot. He's completely lost the plot. This is repellent to the very voters he will need. There's no reason for this. She's disgusting. She's also a lunatic and a huge drag. And not the first drag, by the way. I think J.D. Vance is the first drag on his ticket that was a bad decision. This is the next one.
All right.
And we know that Trump has terrible judgment, clearly, but this is even beyond, because of the strategic flaw here, separate from the morality of it. We've given up on that. But the strategy of associating this close to an election with someone who, except for the tiniest population in this country, repulses almost everyone. We went through a different segment, specifics on the conspiracy theories. She's pushed 9/11 conspiracy theories, mass shooting, false flag conspiracy theories. Said, as you saw some cited there, some of the most racist, disgusting things you could possibly imagine about so many different people. I want to note again, when she says Vice President Harris is meritless, Vice President Harris is undeniably going to do more in terms of merit in her life than Laura Loomer could ever possibly fathom. Whether you like Kamala Harris or not, you should be able to acknowledge a lot of merit going on there. If everyone who watches the show who's not subscribed, just today, just the viewers today who aren't subscribed, who we're going to watch, click the subscribe button today, we'd hit 1 million subscribers. Pretty crazy based on the analytics. Do it. Thank you so much. Back to the video. And this led, before getting to more in this segment, as we already talked about, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's known for her conspiracy theories and vile remarks, to say this.
And this is such an important election. I don't think that she has the experience or the right mentality to advise a very important president.
Why do you think the former president is even listening to her? Do you think maybe she's getting bad advice, or he's getting bad advice from her?
I'm not involved in their conversations, so I can't weigh in on that. But I do know this, that her rhetoric and her tone does not match the base, does not match MAGA, does not match most Republicans I know. And I'm completely denouncing it. I'm over it. And I would encourage anyone else that matches her statements to stop.
Yeah, when you've lost Marjorie Taylor Greene, you really know you took a wrong turn. That's crazy. But the Daily Beast reports on this. Top MAGA Republican calls Laura Loomer disgusting garbage. Firebrand MAGA it girl Laura Loomer is again the cause of more Republican infighting. The far-right activist clapped back at Senator Tom Tillis after he branded her a conspiracy theorist who has too much sway with embattled presidential candidate Donald Trump. Where's Tom Tillis talking about MTG as well? Because, a lot of people in your party. I get Loomer's especially bad, but a lot of people need to be called out. And the Republican Party accepts them. In a Friday post on X, Tillis shared a withering takedown writing, Laura Loomer is a crazy conspiracy theorist who regularly utters disgusting garbage intended to divide Republicans. A DNC plant couldn't do a better job than she's doing to hurt President Trump's chances of winning re-election. Enough. Other MAGA mainstays have been circling the wagons against Loomer in recent days. Lindsey Graham called her toxic and said her rhetoric is beyond disturbing. It cites Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you just watched, and I guess Greene called her a raging anti-Semite. Or no, I think Loomer called Greene a raging anti-Semite. I think that label could fly either way applicably. But before showing you Trump's spokeswoman trying to answer for this, a reminder that what really caused this to spiral out of control in terms of the scandal was Trump not denouncing her and actually defending their relationship during his California remarks here.
Your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Loomer?
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants. She's a free spirit. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do.
And there are these long compilations that we played in a different segment of all the positive things Trump has said about Laura Loomer, pointing to her at events, saying, "You're doing a great job, fantastic." But you can tell, based off the Truth Social posts he sent out, distancing himself from her a little bit, saying she's not officially associated with the campaign, but she's also upset with how Kamala Harris is a communist or whatever. And you can tell based on how Trump's spokeswoman, let's see here, I guess the name is not there, Levitt is the last name, how she interacted with the questions from a Fox News host about this subject, that they understand the political damage.
It is now up to 24.6 million. Harris has got 4.7 million, but we still have not heard him articulate the specifics on the health care plan. And, instead, our social media feeds have been inundated with remixes of his comments about, this fringe claim that Haitian immigrants are eating pets in Ohio. That was evidently brought to his attention by this figure, Laura Loomer, who has promoted this theory. He's been hanging around with her. How close is Trump to Laura Loomer, and why is he bringing her around with him?
Well, as President Trump said yesterday, this individual does not work for the campaign. She's simply a supporter of the president, and he doesn't agree with everything she said. He doesn't agree with everything that all of his supporters said. He is building a big tent movement, being supported by people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. And while they don't all agree on everything, they agree on the most important thing, and that is ensuring Kamala Harris cannot be elected as president of the United States, considering...
I think you're misunderstanding what's valuable about a big tent movement. Usually when you're referring to that, she does allude to, but we agree on the fundamentals. I think a part of the fundamentals usually include that you're not a raging racist. Usually that's important, right? So she goes on for a while, and credit to the Fox News host, she does ask follow-up questions. And notice how the spokeswoman never says the name of Laura Loomer and only says this individual.
The United States, the American people will make that clear on November 5th.
We did hear the former president try to distance himself from Laura Loomer, but he didn't denounce any specific statements that she's made. She once called 9/11 an inside job. He brought her to a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. She said that if Harris wins the election, the White House will smell like curry. That's a racist joke about Harris's Indian heritage. J.D. Vance's wife is Indian. I mean, does he denounce those statements specifically?
President Trump denounced those statements yesterday when he said he does not agree with all of the comments that this individual has made. President Trump went to the 9/11 ceremony to honor those lives that have been that were taken from us on that fateful day, to honor their families. He showed up to a fire station in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and was greeted with enormous.
And he brought to the 9/11 ceremony someone who spreads conspiracy theories about 9/11. And then to go a little bit further, just because you don't need to hear 5 minutes of talking points, keep noticing it's always this individual, not Laura Loomer.
Ridiculous standard.
Well, if it's a ridiculous standard, I mean, there are members of the Republican Party who have voiced a lot of concern about her presence on the president's campaign. From Republican Senators Lindsey Graham, Tom Tillis, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, should we expect then, given what you just told me, that we won't be seeing any more of Laura Loomer on the campaign trail with President Trump?
Look, as I said repeatedly now, President Trump does not agree with all of the statements that were made by this individual. President Trump has been building the most diverse political movement that this country has ever seen.
LOL.
He has unified the Republican Party. And the great thing about Republicans, Jackie, is that we can share when we disagree with one another, but we still understand the bigger picture and that we cannot afford to have Kamala Harris be president of the United States. Unlike the Democrats who try to censor and silence anyone who disagrees with them, as evidenced by big tech censorship of President Trump. And also,
So she's talking faster and faster as she gets nervous about this. Let's see if there's any more follow-up questions. It looks like that's about it, but let's check this.
Has ever said.
We do pose those questions. I sit in the front row of the White House every day and ask questions like that, and we will continue to do so. Caroline Levitt.
Okay, no, that's the end. Yeah, so the argument Caroline Levitt is making is that because Trump said he disagrees with some of the statements Laura Loomer makes, and that Laura Loomer isn't directly employed by the campaign, then it's totally fine if he's buddies with her. But see, he didn't even specify, for one, which statements he disagrees with. And you can't just throw out, oh, you know, sometimes we disagree on little things here and there. So that's why it's fine for me to constantly endorse in my statements and actions someone who spends their entire career spewing some of the most divisive, disturbing, disgusting stuff you see in politics. You saw some of the examples there. We went over others before. Public notice, Noah Berlotsky said Trump's love for Laura Loomer is disqualifying. She's beyond the pale, even by MAGA standards. And my hope is this, as a part of a much broader picture, is just one more example of Trump's poor judgment. And I think just with Trump, we have enough reasons. I don't think. I know that just Trump, what he's given us with his actions and his words, is enough to say this guy shouldn't be president again. But if that's not enough for you, look at who he surrounds himself with. Look at who he might staff his administration with. And his decision to stand by Laura Loomer, at least up until this point, is a really good example of that. It's terrifying who Trump's willing to associate with. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. You can support the show and get the members only bonus show by clicking the join button below.